Good morning, everybody. Today, I'll be presenting my vulnerability assessment project for Cybr 4220. My name is Ryan Pham, and during this presentation, we will cover the methods I used, the challenges that I encountered, and the vulnerabilities that I discovered within the Linux server, and some recommendations as well. The goal of this assessment was to locate two hidden servers within our lab. One would be running Windows while the other would be running Linux, and to assess their vulnerabilities. I primarily used the Network Mapper or Nmap to discover devices and Greenbone Vulnerability Manager or GVM to perform those vulnerability scans. During the assessment, I attempted to scan 192.168.1.20, believing that that would be our hidden Windows server. However, the results revealed only minor low severity findings. Uh, they found TCP timestamp information disclosure and did not match expectations for a hidden server intended to have a deep vulnerability discovery. Despite those efforts, I was unable to confirm and fully assess the hidden Windows server. However, I successfully located, scanned, and analyzed a hidden Linux server, which revealed multiple critical vulnerabilities. Here, I did have some challenges as well with interrupt at 0%. And with the Linux server, I was able to find a total of 11 high and 5 medium severity levels. As for the technical summary, it started off with a network scan with the nmap. I ran the command sudo nmap-sp 192.168.1.0/24 to identify live hosts across the device. I found several known systems, the Kali machine, the gateway, and the admin server, but again, I had difficulty confirming the hidden Windows server. Again, I thought that 192.168.1.20 was the hidden Windows server, and I added it manually as a target in Greenbone. The scan on this host revealed the minor low severity issues with the TCP timestamps being exposed. Because of the limited results, it appeared unlikely that this IP was the true intended hidden server, and further scanning and troubleshooting through GVM, including feed synchronization and reinstalling Greenbone, still did not lead to identifying the correct hidden Windows server. However, the hidden Linux server was successfully located and assessed. I figured it as a scan target, used a full and fast scan profile, and launched a detailed vulnerability scan. After the scan was completed, I went ahead and downloaded the results in PDF format and so forth. So for the vulnerability ranking scale, we use something called CVSS or Common Vulnerability Scoring System, and this provides a numerical way, quantitative way to measure the severity of a vulnerability. So of course, scores from 0.1 to 3.9, these are considered low, meaning they pose minor security issues, as in the case with the Windows server, TCP timestamps being exposed. That's an example of a low severity. Scores from 4.0 to 6.9, these are medium, meaning they could potentially be exploited by attackers. And scores from 7 to 10, these are considered high, representing serious vulnerabilities that could result in a full system compromise or hacking. This ranking system guided to how I prioritized which vulnerabilities to address first. So, for the Linux server, through the scans, this hidden Linux server was found to have a large number of high severities across multiple open ports and services. Here, I'll go ahead and just discuss the high severities. First, we have port 8787, which is the distributed Ruby multiple RCE vulnerabilities. Um, then we have port 216200 TCP. This is the VSFTPD backdoor. Um, yeah, there are multiple backdoors, um, such as the port 21 and 6200, and there's also the ingress lock backdoor on 1524. The TWiki web application on port 80 was vulnerable to cross-site scripting and command injection attacks. The server was also running an outdated operating system that was no longer receiving security updates, and this was a huge severity risk. PostgreSQL on port 5432 was left with default credentials, and Apache Tomcat on port 8009 was vulnerable to the GhostCat flaw, and this allowed for enabling unauthorized file access and potential remote code execution. Lastly, we have Unreal TCD on port 6697. This was found to be vulnerable to authentication spoofing, as well as the Java RMI service on port 1099. This allowed for insecure remote access. So for some recommendations, based on these critical findings, here are a few. First, for the TWiki vulnerabilities, it is important to update the application to a secure version, as leaving outdated web applications unpatched can expose the server to potential credential theft, web-based attacks, and overall just unauthorized access. Secondly, for the VSFTPD backdoor, it is best to not just patch, but to completely eliminate it and replace it with a secure file transfer solution such as SFTP over OpenSSH. FTP here transmits data in clear text, and a backdoor version means attackers can already have shell access. Moving to a more secure encrypted transfer protocol reduces that exposure significantly. Third, securing the Postgres SQL service is very critical. Default credentials are one of the easiest ways for an attacker to gain unauthorized access. Changing to strong and a unique database password and tightening the SSL TLS settings around PostgreSQL would help improve its security. The GhostCat vulnerability in Apache Tomcat could also allow file disclosure, or even remote code execution. And to help solve this server needs to upgrade to a patched Tomcat version, and the insecure AJP connector needs to be disabled or secured through authentication. And also finally, this is very important, but update the OS to support a version. End of life systems cannot be secured through patches because there are no new patches being issued. So they must be upgraded or replaced entirely to restore a supported security. Overall, implementing these recommendations would help reduce the attack surface of the hidden Linux server and bring it closer to a secured server. So, in conclusion here, this project helped demonstrate both the practice and technical challenges of performing a real-world vulnerability assessment. Again, although I did attempt to scan and assess 192.168.1.20, which I thought was the correct hidden Windows server, I was ultimately unable to find and complete the Windows portion of this project. However, I did successfully discover, scan, and analyze the hidden Linux server, which is 192.168.1.30. this experience really did help reinforce the importance of persistence and troubleshooting, and this was a great project to work with. So, and here are my references. So thank you very much.